here is Chris Doles, an employee with the Army Corps of Engineers, speaking on CNN over the weekend about Elon Musk's role and Doge's role in cutting into the federal workforce. This is basically his reaction here as to what Musk's real motivations are.
I'm required by law to make it clear that I'm speaking only for myself and that my views aren't necessarily those of the agency. And more importantly, I'm not here just because I'm an employee of the Army Corps of Engineers. I'm also here because I'm part of a growing national network of federal workers who are fighting back against these attacks. Now, how will they backfill our positions? I don't think they have any intention of backfilling our positions. I think they're trying to deepen a crisis that already exists, which is the funding crisis that our public services aren't sufficiently supported already. Federal workers are overworked as is. They're trying to deepen that crisis to justify further privatization. You look at Elon Musk, who's of course the architect and executioner here. He's already benefiting from more than $18 billion in federal contracts over the last 10 years. And he calls recipients of federal aid parasites. Elon Musk is the parasite here.
So you got this buyout offer, went to 2 million people. What did you make of it? What was your reaction?
The first thing I did was I reached out to other federal workers who I've been working with for the last couple of years to make our union stronger, to protect federal workers' rights. And what I found was that everybody was so insulted. We learned, of course, quickly that Twitter employees who received the same buyout didn't get the pay, that what we're dealing with here are con men. And we educated our members everywhere we could that this is a scam. We need to hold the line and protect the government that they're trying to break up because our services are so critical. In my corner of the government, we do dredging to maintain shipping channels so the economy can work. We build and maintain flood walls and levees to protect American homes and communities. We were the folks who built the emergency hospitals at the beginning of the COVID pandemic. So really, our work touches everything from the economy as a whole to your local communities and your personal health in moments of public health crises. So, for the people who are trying to purge the government, we're trying to hold the line because it's those of us who have committed our careers to the public service that are going to keep it going if we can stop these attacks.
This is why this is just so important to make this case. There are over 2 million federal workers in the country. I saw that the AP had reported that the federal government is the biggest employer in the Kansas City area. So this isn't just coastal elites like Elon Musk and his online minions would like and bots would like you to believe. This affects thousands and thousands of regular people all across the country because the federal government has a role in shaping society. And the more and more this goes on, and I mean, it's hard for me to discern how much information is getting to people because there's just so many folks that just don't pay attention, right? But I hope this becomes clear that this isn't about fraud, waste, abuse, whatever excuse that he keeps repeating over and over again. It's about what Chris just said, the more than $18 billion in federal contracts over the last 10 years. It's about the fact that the FAA had the audacity to tell Elon Musk that he needed prior authorization before shooting a rocket into space. It's about the fact that Elon is entering into an agreement with Visa, the credit card company, and he wants to create a payment Venmo type system on Twitter, now X.
The populist.
Because that's been his fixation ever since his PayPal days. That's why he's looting around in the treasury and looking and trying to get access to everyone's personal data so that he has an advantage over his competitors. And we're supposed to pretend like this is an actual forensic audit. We already do that for the Pentagon, which they're eventually going to get to. And that's the one that is most shrouded in secrecy, and also the one that Elon Musk benefits the most from. We also talked about how Musk is entering into an agreement reportedly with Boeing to make technology and work with them on their fighter jets. This is as corrupt as it gets. This is the natural endpoint of the post-Citizens United world, where corporations are people and money equals speech, and rich people have more speech by definition, so they have more of a say in our government. And now it's epitomized by the richest person on the planet doing that directly with his little 4chan minions and groypers who want to take a break from posting about how eugenics is a great idea to take a look at your private bank data so that Elon Musk gets a leg up on Venmo. I mean, it's absolutely absurd. It's absolutely absurd. And it's a real shame that we see folks validating this narrative, and it extends from people like Josh Shapiro, who we just showed that tweet, validating the narrative, to members of the media who repeat that this is about waste, fraud, and abuse. Our money in this matter is publicly available. The money that Congress allocates as having the power of the purse and gives to these agencies is publicly available information. Everything that Doge is putting out there, you can already find. They're just trying to claim that because it comes in text form and it's in the data spreadsheet, that it's the fraud, waste, and abuse that they're talking about, as opposed to the budget and the items that are agreed upon by Congress and then signed into law by the president.
And they're not even really going that far. They're just saying, look at all this stuff we found, without even really, the times that they gesture toward it, it's like adoption services for Lutheran churches.
Yes.
And the truth is that conservatives are stupid cattle. We saw this on January 6th when they said, oh, maybe Antifa let us in there secretly. It wasn't us that stormed the Capitol. It was maybe the secret Antifa thing. They'll do whatever these people want. That's why they're valuable to a rich guy like Elon Musk. That's why he threw the Nazi salute at that thing, is because that type of person is an authoritarian imbecile, and they are politically valuable to the right wing. So like Elon realized, oh, I can trade all these dummy yuppies who are buying my cars because they think I'm going to save the planet. Those people are harder to please than the stupid cattle that are on the conservative side of things, that are going to take all this stuff, which is, you have no examples of fraud. Not only that, Republicans have a trifecta that their voters delivered to them. They aren't even talking about the bills that they could pass with that thing. They are instead letting everyone else sort of sit back and watch a billionaire attack the government and usurp their power that their voters gave them, because they don't really, to be honest, let a daddy do it instead of us anyway.
That's exactly right. They are fundamentally okay with what Musk is doing, even when it usurps their power, even when we play Mike Johnson saying like, yeah, it's totally okay, even though we passed this bill, let's set the precedent that the billionaire can just say, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like that, even after it's become law. It's still a win overall for conservatism and for the Republican project, because when government doesn't work, it creates a crisis, and they exploit that crisis with something called the disaster capitalism, right? But it's that you create shocks, and then when government doesn't work for people, what does that make people think? Oh, well, I guess we need more people to go in there and root out the waste, fraud, and abuse. I guess it's just so beyond repair that it's time for us to reconstruct it in the image of, I don't know, Elon Musk, just picking a name out of a hat, or Mark Andreessen, or Mark Zuckerberg, or any of these other tech billionaires who have subscribed to this very self-serving Curtis Yarvin logic about how we need to remake the federal government and other governments around the world in the way that favors these tech oligarchs. It creates a sense of precarity between people and the federal government. That's all that these folks need. In the same way that TurboTax does. When you dread doing your taxes because you have to pay for them, because for some reason you have to pay $120 to file your taxes, state and local, or state and federal, even when the government already has this information. Why? Because, hey, TurboTax, then they get a bunch of money. It sustains their business. But also, Republicans are thrilled about this because people will dread having to interact with the federal government. One of the first things Elon Musk did was he deleted the free tax filing service. Why would you do that? That doesn't cost anything. Unless it is to serve this broader Republican agenda, which is to make it so that people hate their government.
And why would the government do something when some private individual could get a rent profit off of it?
Yeah. And
it's parasite. It's delivering for parasites is what they're doing.
social conservative fiscal liberal. I'm not an accelerationist, but a Boeing Musk partnership seems like a real destroy American air power type thing, even more than F-35.
You know who is accelerationist is Hakeem Jeffries and Josh Shapiro and Chuck Schumer, all the folks who just want to sit back and say, look, elections have consequences. Hopefully they give it, they swing the consequences, it swings to us, and then we can act like we can't do shit.
That is the weak sauce version of shock doctrine that will never work for them, because shock doctrine is going to always serve capital, and Republicans have more. They've got more firepower. God, it would be nice if we had leadership that understood this. Left Coaster, the free tax service exists still. Okay, that's good to know, but yeah, okay, you can still file for free right now. They still attempted to delete it.
Let's see how it lasts.
Yes. Ryan the Mainer, such a good point, Matt. The Republicans are just rolling over and showing their bellies instead of using real governmental power they have right now. I can only hope their squandering of their opportunity will eventually backfire extraordinarily.
Yep.
LA Accent says, Emma, it will affect millions of people. Those people hold up their local economies. Yes, that's true. Number 13, oh shit, this dude seems militant as F. We're really growing closer and closer to the people versus the elite. The antagonism is forcing us to combat the oligarchs. It'll be incredibly painful, and all of us won't make it, but we can coalesce to stop these Fs.
I mean, I think there's something to that. You look at the early Biden administration and the types of things that were being floated, like the $15 minimum wage, the PRO Act, and the $2 trillion Build Back Better. That wasn't stuff that was coming from neoliberals. Neoliberals don't actually have an what is Josh Shapiro saying? We're going to cut business taxes?
Yeah. It's such a misreading. It's like, it really shows how folks like Josh Shapiro have no principles at all. And our instincts were right about that guy. I can't, he's so unlikable. I mean, I really don't see him as that viable, but
well, if he gets much AIPAC money is viable. And I would just say, don't ever vote. I will not vote for anybody who takes Israel money for the rest of my life. I voted for Harris,
right.
The Working Families Party last thing. I'm not doing stuff like that again. Here's a George Orwell quote. This is during World War II. I've come to the conclusion, or maybe you're leading up to it, I've come to the conclusion that it is futile to be anti-fascist while attempting to preserve capitalism. Fascism, after all, is only a development of capitalism, and the mildest democracy, so-called, is liable to turn into fascism when the pinch comes. The pinch is here.
Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.